Welcome to day 127 of the New Way. I'll read Matthew 15:10 through 20. Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen and understand. What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them." Then the disciples came to him and asked, "Do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this?" He replied, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots. Leave them. They are blind guides. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a pit." Peter said, "Explain the parable to us." "Are you still so dull?" Jesus asked them. "Don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body? But the things that come out of a person's mouth come from the heart, and these defile them. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander. These are what defile a person, but eating with unwashed hands does not defile them." Matthew 15:11 again says, "What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them." I believe Jesus is reminding us of his earlier teaching that what comes out of our mouths reflects our inner core. I believe Jesus is also using this teaching to remind us of his teaching in Matthew 15:13. I'll read that verse again. Matthew 15:13 says, "He replied, 'Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by the roots.'" Jesus is saying that the Pharisees are the weeds in the field of wheat. That was not the way they thought of themselves, and it was not the way most of the Jewish people thought of the Pharisees. Jesus was warning the people not to follow them. I'll read Mark's version in Mark 7:14 through 23. Again, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about this parable. "Are you so dull?" he asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. He went on, "What comes out of a person is what defiles them. For it is from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come: sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person." Now, some followers of Jesus take these verses and say that going to see an X-rated movie or reading filthy books or pornography will not hurt a follower because it is external. What do you think? Actually, you'll find it very hard to draw a straight line between what is good and what is evil. There's some good in almost everything, and there's some bad in almost everything. So instead of trying to decide whether something is good or bad, you need to go to the Father and ask for His guidance. One of the questions I try to ask Him is this: will doing this, reading a book, watching a movie, going to a particular party, will doing this move me in a direction of holiness or move me in a direction of unholiness? Will it make my walk with Jesus cleaner or muddier? Is this a direction toward sexual purity or away from it? As you seek God's directions, He will guide you. I believe that Jesus is teaching about our inner core and saying that what is in there is more important than anything our self or body does or doesn't do. But I don't believe that He is saying that it has no effect upon our lives. In His service, Dale.